Hi, my name is Alex and welcome to the Crochet Circle.
Hi and welcome. In this video tutorial I'm gonna show you how to crochet this kind of a flower. So it's still a 6-petal flower. It is really similar to the one that I made in the previous video, just that the petals are without the picots and they are not so much overlapping one another. They are just front petals and then you have the back petals. So what do you need? You don't actually need much. You just need some yarn, you need a crochet hook, scissors, and I have a needle just for the invisible join of the base. And yeah, at the end I still need to sew in all these loose ends, but I think the flower is definitely worth it because it looks so much nicer and puffier, and yeah, that's it. So what else do you need to know? Oh, if you have a question, you can ask in the comment box below, and if you want to get notified when I'm gonna get something new out, a new pattern for a video tutorial, don't forget to subscribe so you're gonna get notified when, yeah, there's gonna be something new out. Perhaps just one more thing. Nah, we're just gonna start with the crocheting. So here are my 3 colors. The red, I'm gonna do the center, and then the 2 pink colors for 2 sets of petals. One set of petals will be in the background and the other one will be in the front. And as requested, I'm not gonna be doing any picots like I did on the previous version, just to show you all the options that you can do. But oh, one more thing, up here on the left top corner, don't forget, there will be a pattern or a diagram just so you can follow along with all the stitches. But now I'm gonna begin with the center of the flower. This time I'm gonna be using some red yarn and still pulling it from the middle. That's so unusual for me. So I'm starting the base or the beginning of the flower with a magic ring. So that means I do yarn twice around my thumb. I go in with my crochet hook, grab the yarn, pull it through and do a chain 1. Now I can adjust the magic ring a bit more, and I do 6 single crochets in the same magic ring, in the same stitch. So 6 single crochets in the magic ring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now I'm gonna close up the magic ring, pull at the loose starting tail. And now for row number 2, I need to go from 6 to 12 stitches. How I'm gonna do that is I'm gonna do 6 increases. An increase is just 2 single crochet stitches in one. So I go into the first stitch and I do an increase. So that means 1, 2. Now in the next one, it's gonna be 3. I don't like this stitch because it's too loose. So I have 2. Now I'm on 3, 4 is an increase. 5, 6 is an increase. I really don't like that I'm pulling it from the middle because it just doesn't wanna flow. So I'm on 6 now. 7, 8 is an increase. 9, 10 is an increase. And 11, 12 is an increase. And that's it. That is the base done. What I'm gonna do now is cut the yarn. And I need to find my needle that I lost again. Oh, I'm just gonna use the spare one then. So now I need to do, what I now need to do is close the base together. I'm gonna do that with an invisible join. How to invisibly join? Really easy. I'm using a sewing needle, and what you have to remember is you don't go into the next stitch, you skip the next stitch and then go into the next one. So you skip one stitch and then go into the next one, and then you go back to where you came from. So I came from here and I'm going back here, and you create a nice stitch on top of the one that I just skipped, and you skipped probably, hopefully, if you're using the same method. If you're doing it some other way, you can definitely let me know, but this is how I learned it and this is how I'm doing it. Okay, now the base is done. I'm now gonna start with the petals. The petals are gonna be almost the same as in the previous video tutorial, just without the picot on top, and I'm gonna do one triple crochet less in the middle. So plus what you have to know is I'm gonna be doing front, both front, and then in the other color I'm gonna be back, both back, using the stitches. So the first one I'm gonna be doing is the front one, the front petal, so I'm gonna be going through the front loop, through both loops, and through the front loop. The next petal I'm gonna switch the color, I'm gonna go back loop, both loops, back loop, and then I'm gonna switch to the first color and do the front loop, both loops and front loop. Okay, let's begin. As I already mentioned, I'm gonna go in with the front loop only, so I'm going in. There's my tail, I need to hold it close, and I'm gonna do a chain of 3, so that's 1, 2 and 3, and I need to do a triple crochet stitch through the front loop only. So the beginning and the first triple crochet stitch are in the front loop only of the base. There's the back loop, and this is just the front loop. Now the next stitch, the next cluster of stitches is gonna be done in both loops of the next stitch. So I hope you can see I have 2 loops on my crochet hook, so that means I'm going through both of them, and I need to do triple crochets, so that means yarn twice around my crochet hook, and I need to do 4 of them, so that's 1, 2, 3 and 4. And now I need to do in the front loop again, front loop only, so you see the back loop, I'm only going through the front loop. I need to do a triple crochet stitch, a chain of 3, so that's 1, 2, 3, and a slip stitch, and that's it. I can cut the yarn and pull the yarn through. Now this is the first petal done. As I already mentioned, I'm switching now to the second color, so there's my darker pink, and this one is gonna be made in the back loops. So back loop, both loops, and another back loop. Okay, again, back loop where I only had the front loop, I'm gonna start with the back loop, I'm gonna go through both loops and then again into the back loop. So I'm going in with my crochet hook, grabbing the yarn and doing a chain of 3, so that's 1, 2, 3. Now I need to do a triple crochet stitch in the same back loop only. So that's me splitting some yarn, but I've managed to save it. And now there's the next stitch, the next cluster of 4 triple crochet stitches done through both loops only. So yarn twice around my crochet hook, and I need to do 4 triple crochet stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. As you see, I am kind of guiding my starting tail through the stitch so I don't have to do too much at the end. Now I'm at the last stitch, so this time I'm doing back loops. So I'm going in through the back loop only, and I'm gonna do, I already did a triple crochet stitch. Chain of 3, so that's 1, 2, 3, and joining it with the slip stitch in the back loop only. Cut the yarn and the second petal is done. Now for the third petal, I'm moving back to my color number 1. So I'm gonna be doing front loop, both loops, front loop. Front loop is of the one stitch that I already did, used for the back loops. So I'm going in, grabbing the yarn, pulling it through and doing 1, 2, 3 chains. Now I need to do in the same front loop only a triple crochet stitch. So that's 1, 2, and 3. Now through both loops in the next stitch I need to do 4 triple crochet stitches. Again, the starting tail I'm kind of putting on top of my stitch just so that I already work it in. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now I need another triple crochet stitch in the front loop only of the next stitch. So in the front loop only I'm doing a triple crochet stitch, chain of 3, so that's 1, 2, 3, and a slip stitch, and I can cut the yarn. And this is now petal number 3 done. Now back to the second color, so the darker pink, let's say it like that. So now I begin with a stitch, starting stitch in the back loop, then I do 4 triple crochet stitches in both loops, and the triple crochet stitch and a chain of 3 in the back loop only. So that's 1, 2, 3 3 chains and a triple crochet stitch in the back loop. Now I do 4 triple crochet stitches in the same stitch, so that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now I need to do in the back loop only a triple crochet stitch, so triple crochet stitch in the back loop only, and a chain of 3, so that's 1, 2, 3, and joining it with the slip stitch, and I can cut the yarn. Done with the fourth petal. Now the next one, I'm switching back to my first color, so, and this time again I need to start in the front loop. So where I was just doing the stitches in the back loop, I need to find the front loop, finding the front loop and pulling my yarn through and doing a chain of 3. So 1, 2 and 3. Now I need to do a triple crochet stitch in the same front loop only. Now in the next stitch I need to go through both loops and I need to do 4 triple crochet stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now for the last stitch again, this one is done in the front loop, so I need to do another triple crochet stitch, chain of 3 and a slip stitch in the front loop only, of course, and I can cut the yarn. So this is now 5 out of 6 petals done. So I need just the last one, so I'm switching back to my darker pink, and this one is done in the back loop, both loops, and another back loop. So finding the stitch, the back loop only, grabbing my yarn, pulling it through and doing chain of 3. Now I need to do a triple crochet stitch in the same back loop only stitch. Now I have to do 4 triple crochet stitches in the this is actually the last stitch there is here. There is through both loops, so I need to do 4 of them. So that's 1, 2, 3 and 4. I know it looks a bit messy, but it's fine. The last stitch is in the back loop and doing a chain of 3. 1, 2 and 3 and joining it with a slip stitch. Cutting the yarn and pulling it through. So I think you know what what needs to be done now. So now I need to get rid of all the starting and the end tails, but for now I'm just gonna kind of weave it in with my crochet hook just to get it on the back side so you don't see it, but they are still here, a lot of them. So this is my just a tiny bit the end tails done, and this is now the flower using almost the same pattern as the previous one done. So in this one again I've been using only 2 colors. In the previous one I used 6 colors. I didn't do any picots on top of the petals. I used them here. They are optional. You can use them. You don't have to use them. And on this flower, what I've done is 1 petal is front loop, both loops front loop, and the back petal is back loop, both loops back loop. And then you continue so on and so on. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, let me know with a thumbs up. If you want to see more of me, don't forget to subscribe so you're gonna be notified when I'm gonna get some new video tutorials out. And now, I don't know what you're gonna be doing, but I'm gonna be going and sewing in all the loose ends because I think this flower is gonna be another flower for a bookmark, because it's nice and big. So until the next time, I'm gonna say happy crafting!